We always hear that diverse teams do better,
Right.
but in this week's reading, Malcolm Gladwell
Right.
kind of takes a different look at it, in his book, Revenge at the Tipping Point.
Yeah.
And he talks about this idea of a magic third.
Interesting.
Like, just having a bunch of talented people
Uh-huh.
doesn't mean a team's going to succeed.
It's not that simple.
Right.
It's really not just like
Who knew?
putting together like your dream team or something.
Yeah.
Gladwell actually talks about this Harvard researcher, Rosabeth Cantor,
Okay.
and she did a study on this sales team that was having trouble
No,
integrating new women salespeople.
Huh. So was it that the women weren't good at sales?
No, not at
Or
all.
was the team, against them?
No, they were really good at their jobs.
Like,
And the team was supportive, actually.
yeah.
Cantor found that it was really the proportion of women to men.
Oh, so being one woman out
Yeah.
of 10 guys is different than being one of 3? Exactly.
Even if everyone's trying to be nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
So that's where this magic third comes in.
That's it.
Like there's a tipping point
Yeah.
where things get better.
Basically, Gladwell says that when a group reaches between a quarter
Okay.
and a third of the total team, there's a psychological shift.
Interesting.
They feel more comfortable, contributing,
Okay.
speaking up, disagreeing.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you're the only one, it's intimidating.
Totally.
So Gladwell actually interviewed some women
Oh, wow.
who were like the first women on corporate boards.
What?
And they all talk about this huge change they experienced
Yeah.
when they went from being the woman
Oh, yeah.
to one of 3 women.
It's like night and day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then is there like a point where it's too much?
Like,
Like if a third is good,
that's a good question.
could having too many from one background also be a problem?
It's complicated, right?
Yeah. It's not about getting some perfect balance.
Uh-huh.
The point is to make sure enough people from different backgrounds are there.
Yeah.
So they feel like they can actually contribute.
So it's not just checking boxes.
No.
It's about creating an environment where different ideas
Right.
can kind of clash and create something new.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what it's all about.
And this applies to all sorts of diversity,
I'm
not
thinking
just
that-
like demographics.
It's about any kind of difference in thinking.
Right.
Like think about a team with, Gen Z folks
Uh-huh.
and people who've been working for decades.
Okay.
Or designers working
Yeah.
with engineers.
I see.
Each group, sees things differently.
Uh-huh.
And the magic third is about having enough of each group
Right.
to really get the benefit of those differences.
That actually makes me think about our company's move into
Oh, neat.
listeners' relevant market.
Uh-huh.
Like, maybe just having one consultant from there isn't enough.
It might not be.
We might need more people
Yeah, it's worth considering.
to really get those insights,
If you really want to understand that market,
Yeah.
having a bunch of people from there could be a game changer.
It's something to think about.
Definitely.
It seems like a lot of leaders might be missing this. They want diversity,
Yeah.
but they don't understand how important this proportion is.
They're not seeing the whole picture.
Right.
It's not just about having a few different people sprinkled around.
Yeah.
It's about making sure they feel comfortable
Yeah.
speaking their minds and that their ideas are really valued.
So if you're building a team
Yeah.
and you're serious about diversity,
Uh-huh.
Gladwell's law of the magic third is something to pay attention to.
It's a powerful concept.
Yeah.
It can really make a difference.
It can make or break your team.
I think so.
And it's not a hard and fast rule.
No.
It's more like a guideline.
Yeah, it's a way to think about teams
Uh-huh.
and how to get the best out of them.
And how to get innovation. Right.
Exactly.
Now, I'm curious to hear about some specific examples
Okay, yeah.
where this magic third comes into play.
Let's dive into some real-world scenarios and
Yeah.
see how it works in practice.
Okay, so it's not just about having all these different people. It's about making sure they can actually work together.
Right, and Gladwell talks about that too.
Oh, okay.
He talks about psychological safety,
Psychological safety. Okay.
especially for diverse teams.
So it's more than just being fair.
Yeah.
It's about making people feel comfortable.
Exactly. Yeah. Like people need to feel like they can speak up, share ideas,
Right.
even disagree, without being judged or punished.
Because if people are holding back,
Yeah.
you're not really getting the benefit of having all those different perspectives.
Exactly. You lose the whole point of having a diverse team.
Right.
If everyone's censoring themselves,
Yeah.
you're not going to get innovation.
You're not going to solve those tough problems.
Exactly.
So how do you create the psychological safety?
Well, it starts with leadership. Leaders have to model that behavior themselves,
Yeah.
like being open to feedback, admitting when they're wrong,
Right.
encouraging people to disagree respectfully.
So it's setting the tone. Right.
Exactly, yeah.
Showing that it's okay to be vulnerable, to question things.
Yeah, and then you need some ground rules for how people communicate.
Uh-huh.
Make sure everyone knows that different opinions aren't just tolerated, they're wanted.
You want those differences.
Yeah, that's where the good stuff comes from.
You turn those potential conflicts into, like, fuel for better solutions.
Exactly.
Not let them, like, derail the team.
Yeah, it's a balancing act.
And then I guess personal connections matter too, right?
Absolutely.
Like, if people know each other,
Yeah.
they're more likely to trust each other, even when they disagree.
Totally.
So things like team building, social events, even just casual conversations can make a difference.
Yeah, all of that helps.
So it's about creating a team where people feel like they belong,
Right.
like they're valued for who they are. Yeah.
And where they feel safe to share their ideas.
And to challenge things, to push back.
Okay, so psychological safety is key.
Mm-hmm.
What other challenges are there
Right.
for managing a diverse team?
Communication is a big one.
Okay.
When you have people with different communication styles,
Right.
different backgrounds, different cultures,
Yeah.
you really have to be careful.
Because what's clear to one person
Right.
might be confusing to someone else.
Totally.
Or even offensive, right?
Yeah, especially with cultural differences.
So be aware of those differences.
Mhm.
Be careful with your language.
Yes.
And be willing to change your style
Yeah.
to communicate better with different people.
That's really important.
Sounds like active listening is even more important in this situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And conflict is going to happen
Right.
when you have different opinions.
Yeah, it's inevitable.
It is.
Yeah.
But it's not a bad thing.
Okay.
See it as a chance to learn, to grow.
Don't shy away from it.
Exactly.
Have clear ways to deal with conflict.
Mhm.
Encourage people to talk respectfully
Right.
and focus on finding solutions that work for everyone.
And I guess managing these teams, it's not like a one-time thing.
No, it's a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
You're always learning, always adapting.
You have to be flexible.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so we've talked about what to do,
Mm-hmm.
but what happens if you don't do it?
Oh, good question.
What are the risks of having a team that's too similar?
Well, one of the biggest risks is groupthink.
Groupthink.
Yeah,
That doesn't sound good.
it's not.
Okay.
It happens when a group values harmony and agreement more than critical thinking
Okay.
and
Yeah.
considering different viewpoints.
So everyone's just trying to get along.
Yeah.
And they end up making bad decisions.
Exactly.
So in a team where everyone's from the same background, thinking the same way,
Yeah,
it's easy to fall into that trap.
it is.
When everyone's agreeing, it's hard to challenge them.
It is. You're less likely to see things from a different angle.
It's like being in an echo chamber, right?
Exactly.
You just hear the same things over and over.
Yeah, and that can be really dangerous,
Yeah.
not just for the team, but for the whole organization.
So groupthink is one risk.
Mm-hmm.
What else can go wrong when a team's not diverse enough?
Well, it can also kill creativity and innovation.
Okay.
When everyone has the same experiences,
Right.
you're going to get a limited set of ideas.
It's like trying to solve a puzzle,
Yeah,
but you only have half the pieces.
exactly.
You need those different perspectives to see the whole picture.
To come up with new solutions,
Yeah.
diversity brings fresh ideas, new ways of thinking.
Yeah.
It's how you stay ahead of the game.
Especially now, things are changing so fast.
Absolutely.
It's like having a toolbox with only one kind of tool.
Right.
You can only do so much with that.
You need a variety of tools
Yeah.
to build something truly unique and complex.
So we've established the risk of having a team that's too similar.
Yeah.
So what can leaders actually do to build more diverse teams?
Well, it all starts with being intentional about recruitment.
Okay.
You have to look beyond your usual channels.
So not just recruiting from the same schools or
Right.
the same networks.
Exactly.
Okay.
You got to branch out.
So go to events focused on diversity,
Mm-hmm.
partner with organizations that support underrepresented groups,
Yeah, all of that.
things like that.
Exactly.
And what about blind recruitment,
That's a great idea.
where you take out identifying information from resumes?
Yeah, to avoid unconscious bias.
Right. So you're not making assumptions
Exactly.
based on someone's name or where they went to school.
It's about focusing on their skills and experience.
Makes sense?
And then once you've hired a diverse team,
Yeah.
the work isn't over.
Right. You have to build a culture where they can actually thrive.
Exactly. You need to create an environment where everyone feels welcome and valued.
It's really about making those different voices part of how things get done.
That's a good way to put it.
So how do you actually do that? Make sure those voices are heard, not just like invited to speak.
It takes more than just asking people to share their ideas.
Right.
You need systems, processes
Hmm.
that make sure diverse perspectives are actually considered.
So, like, having diverse leadership,
Exactly.
making sure different voices are in those important meetings when
Yes.
decisions are being made.
It's about who has a seat at the table.
Yeah.
And you can think about things like rotating leadership roles
Oh, that's interesting.
on a project so everyone gets a chance to lead,
That's a good
to
idea.
shape the direction.
Yeah, it would mix things up a bit.
It would.
It would also prevent those people who like to be in charge
Uh-huh.
from always being in charge.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think it's important to remember this magic third idea, it's not just about checking boxes on a diversity list.
Right.
It's a whole different way to think about teams.
Yeah, it really challenges how we usually think about leadership.
That's,
Like, it's not just the loudest voice that wins.
It's not about that anymore.
Right.
It's about bringing all those voices together
Yeah.
and creating something better.
Okay, so Gladwell talks about this, but is there other research? Like, is there data to back this up?
There is, yeah. Besides Cantor's work, there have been a bunch of studies
Okay.
in all kinds of fields that have found similar things.
Interesting.
For example, research on corporate boards
Okay.
shows that boards with at least 3 women
Uh-huh.
tend to do better
Okay.
than boards with fewer women,
In what way?
financially
Okay.
and in terms of innovation.
So it's not just an idea, there's proof.
Yeah, the data supports it.
This is making me rethink some of my own experiences.
Really?
Yeah, like thinking back on listeners' relevant project,
Uh-huh.
could that be why's specific outcome? Like maybe if we had a more balanced team,
It's possible.
if we had hit that magic third,
Yeah,
we could have had a different result.
it's something to think about
Yeah, it's definitely something to learn from.
for future projects, yeah.
Okay, so let's say you're a leader, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you believe in this magic third idea.
Okay.
You've built your diverse team.
Uh-huh.
You're working on that psychological safety.
Right.
But how do you actually manage that team?
That's the key, isn't it?
Yeah, like how do you deal with all those disagreements?
You have to be really intentional
Okay.
about how you run discussions
Right.
and make decisions.
It's not enough to just say, hey, everybody share your thoughts.
No, it's not enough.
Right.
You need a structure
Uh-huh.
that makes everyone comfortable sharing
Okay.
and make sure all those different perspectives are considered.
So like having clear agendas,
Yes.
setting ground rules for how people talk to each other,
Exactly.
making sure everyone gets a chance to speak, and really encouraging those quieter voices.
That's so important.
Yeah.
You know, those who might not jump in right away.
Right.
You have to make space for them.
And what about techniques like brainstorming,
Oh, that's a great one.
where you just throw out ideas
Yeah.
without judging them?
Just getting everything out there.
Yeah.
And then you can sort through it later.
Or using those anonymous feedback tools.
Those can be really helpful.
People can share their thoughts
Yeah.
without worrying about what others will think.
Exactly. It takes the pressure off.
It's about creating a space where people aren't afraid to try new things,
To take risks.
where even those wild ideas are welcome.
That's where the breakthroughs happen.
Right.
You never know where the next big idea will come from.
And active listening is crucial, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially for leaders.
Yeah.
You have to really listen
Uh-huh.
to understand those different perspectives.
Even if you don't agree with them,
Even then. Yeah.
it's about showing empathy.
Yes. Even when it's hard.
Yeah, even when you're disagreeing.
It's about finding common ground.
And when those conflicts do come up,
Mm-hmm.
because they will,
They always do.
you see them as a chance to learn,
Exactly.
not something to avoid.
Is how we grow.
Right. It's about talking it through respectfully
Respectfully, yeah.
and using those different perspectives to find a better solution.
It's not about shutting down conflict.
Right.
It's about channeling it.
Turning it into something positive.
That's a great way to put it.
So it's not about erasing those disagreements.
No.
It's about using them to fuel creativity.
And innovation, yeah.
And I guess managing these teams,
Mm-hmm.
it's a constant process.
It is. It's a journey.
There's no one right way to do it.
No, every team is different.
You have to adapt, be open to feedback.
And always be learning.
So embrace the messiness,
The messiness, yeah.
the complexity,
It's part of the process.
and be willing to learn all the time.
That's the key to success.
Because when you get it right,
When you create that environment
that magic
where
environment.
everyone can contribute,
Yeah,
the results are amazing.
they can be. Yeah.
You get a level of creativity,
Yeah.
innovation
And problem solving
you just can't get
with a homogenous team,
with a team that's too similar.
just not possible.
This has been such a great conversation.
I've enjoyed it.
We've learned so much about diversity,
Yeah.
about this magic third idea,
A lot to think about.
and about how to manage these teams.
That's an important topic.
As we wrap up this deep dive,
Mm-hmm.
what's the one big takeaway for our listeners?
I think the key takeaway is that diversity and inclusion
Yeah.
are essential for success.
It's not just the right thing to do, it's also the smart thing to do
Exactly.
from a business perspective.
Absolutely.
Diverse companies are more innovative,
More profitable.
more adaptable.
They're better at everything.
They're better at connecting with customers,
Mm-hmm.
attracting talent.
Building a strong brand. So whether you're a leader, an employee, or just someone who cares,
Yeah.
embracing diversity and inclusion is the way to go.
It's the future.
Thinking back on listeners' relevant project,
Uh-huh.
could that be why specific outcome happened?
That's worth considering.
Maybe not enough different viewpoints.
Maybe the magic third could have helped.
Yeah, something to think about
Definitely.
for your next project.
For all your future work.
This has been a fascinating journey.
It has.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive
My pleasure.
into diversity, inclusion, and this power of the magic third.
It's been a great conversation.
And remember, this is just the beginning.
It is.
Keep exploring these ideas.
Keep learning
Challenge your own assumptions.
and be a force for positive change.
Until next time.
See you on the next deep dive.